had someone ask me about that. They've heard the promo for the Mike Matheny show, and they said, Mark, where are you going to be? You're not leaving. And no, the way that deal is going to work, and I'm excited about it because we'll start on April 10th. That's the week of opening day. The home opener. The new skipper will either be in here or on the phone. A lot of times it'll be on the phone because he's busy. And in the 2 o'clock hour, so our first hour on Tuesdays, which is this not a Tuesday? I think it is a Tuesday. It's weird how that works. The first hour will be the Mike Matheny show with Kevin Wheeler and with me. And then we're back to everything that we usually do at 3. I think it's going to be a fun little break during the baseball season, and I'm looking forward to it. John Bruner's here, who's running for the United States Senate. Timed, interestingly enough, on a day that Tom Schweik made the announcement earlier today that he is not running in this race, and we sort of covered that. This is a story that CBS did today, John, and I'm sure you might have a reaction. This is from our friend Mark Knoller over at CBS News. The national debt has now increased more during President Obama's 3 years and 2 months in office than it did during 8 years of the Bush presidency. The debt rose $4.89 trillion. These are staggering numbers. During the 2 terms of the Bush presidency, it has now gone up to $4.9 trillion since the president took office. That, to me, is sort of what this race is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much debt that you continue to bring on and continue to bring on the spending that is suppressing the whole economy, suppressing the job opportunities here. I mean, we've all felt it. We've all been in times in our lives, or most of us have. I mean, I remember in my early days, we just got married. I was in the Marine Corps, and my wife and I had over $200 on our credit card. Well, we cut up the credit card, and we said, we can't get into that kind of debt anymore. And we got to do a lot better managing our funds and our money and our expenses. Our country has to do the same thing. And you know what? Poor decisions, as my mom would say, poor decisions limit future options. Good decisions broaden future options.
Have you had a chance, and I have Congressman Tom Price coming on in the next hour, but the new budget's been released from the Republicans and Congressman Ryan today. If you happen to be in the United States Senate next year, there's no guarantee that you'll get to consider that if the Senate is led by Democrats, because as we know in the last couple of years, Senator Reid has not allowed a vote on that. But do you have you had any chance to look at what Congressman Ryan's proposing? It's similar to what they were talking about last year as well.
Yeah, I just got into it this morning here, and there's some good articles in today's Wall Street Journal. And basically,
he wrote an op-ed in there as well.
It was really good. In fact, that last paragraph was absolutely fantastic. Basically suggesting we have a choice in America between more centralized control or trusting the people, trusting the Americans, trusting the talent that we have in this country to get the job done and get the job fixed. And yes, this is a great step in the right direction. But even with the Democrats there, I mean, Paul Ryan showed that he could work with Ron Wyden, a very liberal senator from Oregon, to put together to help us with the whole Medicare program. So there are people from both sides of the aisle that understand we need to get the job fixed. We just got to get the politics out of the way, and we got to get people elected that aren't politicians.
But how do here's my experience over the years with people, and not that I disagree with you in principle, but if you are caucusing with Republicans, you're a Republican senator in Washington, I think quite candidly, John, one of the problems that Senator McCaskill has had is that she was someone who claimed to be more of, what was the word they used with Senator McCain when he was running for president? Because he was the maverick, sorry, I was brain farting on that. But he was the maverick, willing to buck his party, right? Which he was, for better or for worse in some cases. Senator McCaskill, while she might have cast a few votes early on in the other direction, on any major policy issue, she was not willing to do that. Now, I'm not asking you to go against the party, but what would make anyone out there considering you as a nominee? Here's what Sarah Steelman says. She says, well, there's proof that I've done it. So she's one of your competitors in this race. Why should we believe you that you're going to do what's best for the country, what's consistent with your principles, and not go along with the party? Because let me tell you, and I think you know this, the Republicans have made mistakes too, and the reason that we have so much debt is in part because of what happened before the president took office.
Well, you've asked some great questions here, and there's a number of ways to attack this issue. First of all, with Claire McCaskill, I've been tracking her the last year, obviously, and she was voting with the president 96% of the time, and it got down to 92% of the time as the election season rolls forward. Now she's probably back to 93 or 94 in her vote against religious freedom here in the last couple of weeks. So obviously you have politicians there that like to go along and understand which way the wind is blowing, and then try to get there so that they can catch the wind. I think you got to get a different kind of person up there in public office who is not a career politician, who's already had the career, who can make those tough decisions, knowing full well that if they're not reelected, hey, they're heading back home, and they're heading back home to their career or maybe the career that they used to have. This will only take 10, 15 seconds, but this was something that was written here by Senator Jim DeMint in an op-ed July 19th, 2011. And I quote Jim DeMint. He said, "When I expressed my disappointment and frustration with the way the Republicans in the Senate were doing business, one senior member of my party's leadership told me, 'Well, Jim, you can't change the Senate.' That's when I realized the people in the Senate were not going to change. It was time to change the people serving in the Senate." And so I would tell Senator Jim DeMint, now John Brunner is that change. You got to find somebody with a different motivation, different experience to get in there and do the job. And
well, I think that's what Senator Johnson's an example of that. I think Senator Coburn's an example of that in Oklahoma. But there quite candidly aren't enough to make the changes. But the other challenge that you would have is, and this is completely out of your control, is the numbers. And if this is an important seat because of that, because this could help shift the numbers in the other direction. But the handicapping that's going on right now still shows that even if you were to win this race, if you're the nominee, that you might be in the minority.
Well, you're right, but look at what Ron Johnson has done in his leadership and his background and experience. This is one person. And he's just looking for other good people that the same kind of help that Tom Coburn needs, that Rand Paul needs, that Jim DeMint needs. You just need a few. You know, leadership doesn't necessarily require a majority. Leadership can make a positive influence with a lot of different people. In my experience in the Marine Corps taught me that. My experience in business taught me that. We can go forward and do that. What bothers me are some of these career politicians, even Sarah Steelman, in terms of saying what she's fighting for. Well, you know, she fought against tort reform. She filibustered against the tort reform. And she stood with the Democratic governor when that bill was passed against tort reform. You know, so she may be a fighter, but sometimes she's fighting for the wrong causes. These are the issues that are problematic. You got to go and look at someone's background and say, do you have confidence that this person's going to hold the road? And I think it's going to be a lot better and a lot more practical and a lot more, let me say, confident if you don't vote for a politician. All
right, I got 60 seconds. So here's the final question for you. What you've been in this race for, I don't know how long now, if you've been keeping track. How long has it been?
I announced in October.
Okay, so 5 months or so. Right. I'm not really good at math. What's been the biggest surprise so far?
You know,
anything sticks out?
You know, the biggest surprise is a tremendous outpouring of support. I started from no background. Nobody knew anything about me. And I've gained the 20, 25 points in the poll. I'm even with everybody right now. The next polling that'll come out will show me breaking away from the pack. It has been absolutely incredible surprise. We didn't know what to expect. I'm just presenting myself, my background, my experience as a non-politician, saying I'm willing to come in and help as a citizen senator. And the support has been unbelievable.
Get any sleep?
We're a couple months ahead of schedule.
Get any sleep?
They said
it's a rough schedule, isn't it?
Oh, it is unbelievable. I remember as my young days when I would travel coast to coast selling our products and dragging myself back home with 3 little ones at home. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do, and I want to get that message out. I just got to be there.
All right, John, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. Good to see you in person.
Thank you.
John Brunner on KMOX. We'll break. We'll come back. I have